What is the impact of Hurricane Ida on the stock market?
I will tell you later. What do you think?
I wait for you to explain first.
Okay. Okay, Martin is on holiday, Taco is not. That's why, and I'm also not on holiday, so that's why I'm here. What happened? What did you? It's now Thursday afternoon, so Friday. Yeah, we can't talk about Friday yet. But what did you see? What did you hear?
We are still in the week, but actually Monday, the US definitely left Afghanistan. Of course, for the stock markets, maybe not that important, but a historical moment. Tuesday we had some interesting figures. The US consumer confidence. Actually, it was quite worse than expected and also worse than last month. And it did actually also affect the stock markets. We had some higher volatility. Markets went down, but as usual, we are getting a little bit boring, I think, but it's getting boring. Markets recovered almost completely, but it was a moment of higher volatility. But in the end, no.
And it was also the end of the month of August, of course.
Yes, yes. Speaking about that, Wednesday, the first day of September, and actually I had a small look that September is not the best month of all months in the trading year.
No?
Let's see what happens this year. Actually, the Nasdaq, for example, is 7 months in a row up.
Yeah,
but will September bring the same? Well, at least the start is not that bad this month, so maybe we have another this time another month in September, a better result. And we had a stronger growth in the US, also reported yesterday for the industry. The Institute of Supply Management reported a growth, and that was actually better than expected. And I think today, I need to see here, but we had China again with some new regulations for a new group. I think you also said something in the
Yeah, I think this is the week of the regulators
exactly.
With their regulations. First of all, last time we spoke about the truck drivers, because in the UK there's a lack of truck drivers, so they can't deliver a lot of goods in time on the right places. And after our market report, UK thought, okay, we have to do something about it. So they announced in the beginning of this week that there will be, for the 20,000 truck drivers from the EU, there will be flexible rules so they can come back to the UK and start working for the UK companies. And also the state of New York, they said, and it's also quite some impact that for food deliverers, where we also spoke about last week about WIM, you know, that's the company that brings food through in front of your doorstep through how do you call it? Small things that you can you can control with your remote control. I spoke about last week. Drones, yes. But the state of New York said that food deliverers, if they don't produce the food themselves, they can only add a commission of 5%. And if you look at Just Eat Takeaway, they had a margin last year, 2020, of 21%. They are allowed to say to the customer, okay, you have to pay an extra fee, but it's always difficult to do that directly. So this is impact on that whole market. And that market is already not a really profitable market. And China, you said, I spoke about it 2 weeks ago, I think, and they announced this week, I said, now they are focusing on the gaming industry. They said, okay, children under 18, they are only allowed to play online games between 8 and 9, 3 times in a week.
1 hour, no?
1 hour, yeah. And today, Thursday, they said that they are now focusing on the taxi apps, the taxi companies.
So again, let's see what's happening with those kind of companies now, but until now it was not that good.
No.
So that's happened, and of course we're still, but that's what next, there's still some things to come. You wanted to explain me something about the hurricane.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of news. Of course, Afghanistan was of course in the news, but also related to the US Ida, the hurricane, and it's a big hurricane. It came into, on the 29th of August, it entered land, and with a category of 4. If you compare it to the last big one, Katrina, that was from 2005, that came on land with a category of 3. So this one is stronger. And Katrina killed 1,800 people, and with a total damage of $100 billion. So that's a lot. I had a look for what will be the impact on the economy, but also on the stock market, which companies are suffering from it, or some companies can benefit from it. If you look at from on an economic scale, I think it's also related to the OPEC Plus. They came together this week and they said, okay, we're going to produce the oil production, we're not going to improve it, only slightly an improvement. And what I said 2 weeks ago, Biden already asked OPEC Plus, because they're not in the OPEC, to produce more because the US needs more oil. And they said, no, we're not going to do it because we are not certain about the outlook of the demand of oil after the summer. And they also said, okay, it's also due to fracking, so how the Americans get the oil out of the ground. So if you go back to the hurricane in Louisiana, there it's the center of the hurricane. That 279 product platforms are already not working anymore. And if you look at the prices of the oil last week, that was because people know when the hurricane comes to land, when it starts to come to land, the oil prices already went up with 10%. And if you look at the oil in the Gulf of Mexico, how much they produce over there, that's around 20% of the total production of the US. So there's almost nothing happening. That's why the oil price went up with 10% in the last week. So it is really interesting to see what's going to, if the OPEC is not right and the demand is higher and they don't produce a lot, and also what's happening in the Gulf of Mexico has a big impact, then it can be a push for the oil price. The good thing is that after Katrina, they had a plan in the US, and there's always a lot of criticism about the infrastructure execution of the US, but in this case they did quite a good job. They invested $50 billion to create 100 kilometers of extra walls. And they had a really plan, and the Dutch with Arcades, there's an engineering company, and they helped a lot, and they made like the Delta plan of the Netherlands. They copied it and
I saw that also.
They did it, and because of that, so the hurricane itself is stronger, but they estimate that the damage only will be around 20 billion. Compared to the 100 billion of Katrina in 2005.
And less people dead, of course.
Only one so far.
Yeah.
I saw 1 and 3. So
compared to 1800 in the
1800, yeah.
Look.
And that's interesting if you relate it to the stock market, because this also gives some opportunities. And I don't want to say that there are opportunities because other people lose. That's not the case. But for example, there is a company. It's Generic, and what they do, they produce generators. So to power, to have extra power on diesel or whatever it is. Maybe it's also on solar nowadays. And that company already went up with 100% in last year. So it's already high. It is a price earnings of 40, and they expect more because they think that more people will buy generators, because it's always, you see after such a hurricane, you see an extra sale increasement of those products. And so that's already in the price, but they think the price earnings will be there in 2020 or around 30. So not that cheap, but an interesting one. And also some American companies like Masco, CarMax and Robinson, and they are more in logistics and manufacturing to help it to rebuild. So I think there are also opportunities, and they don't, but that are real opportunities that also help the local people. So it's a win-win situation. Not that they earn more because they lose, but that I don't believe in. So I think there are some interesting developments. So it's still 20 billion, and 1 or 2 or 3 people died, but less than 50 years ago.
Yeah. Also, Warren Buffett, I'm not sure if he's hot, but it was at least his birthday this week. I think we sent something from our offices to wish him a happy birthday, if I'm not mistaken. 91 years old, and I had a look. Of course, they invest his investment company Berkshire Hathaway invests, for example, in Kraft Heinz. They have over 20% stake.
What do they do, Kraft Heinz?
I don't know. No, they are of course the ketchup and Philadelphia, but there's a lot more behind them. Actually, they are the number 3 of Northern America of the food and drink supplier after Nestle and PepsiCo, and the number 5 worldwide. So the ketchup is of course not the only thing. But I was a little bit surprised when I took the chart that they are not doing that well, and they do still pay their dividends. It's like $1.60, like 4 or 5% a year. They continue, because that's of course why Buffett normally invests in those kinds of companies. But the share price actually is falling, and the competitors, well, actually they're doing quite well. So it's actually a low price, and of course there are some reasons for it. Their outlook is due to the commodity prices that they expect to rise, but of course that's also for the other companies. So I'm not sure why it's trading low, but yeah, with the dividend, etc., it could be an interesting share. I did find something. I think I also heard you speaking with someone in the office today. They don't perform that well in their environment, social and governance risk rating. So that's becoming, maybe, I don't know, but maybe more important. And of course the companies do want to perform well, and maybe they say they do perform well. But if you are not really performing well, I'm not sure how objective this is, but imagine that it's true.
That's good that you mentioned, because that's why we have the last weeks we are touching.
So that could be something that they really score like high. So there's actually a high risk that something is wrong on the sectors, environment, social and governance. Okay. And I found also some stories about it. I'm not sure if it's true, but I mean, it's a number.
If it's a good story, it doesn't matter. If it's
but I mean, it are like key figures, no? Like this is not something like how we think. So that's maybe something that it's not performing that well, but on the other hand, it is a famous brand, no? A famous company with...
Do you like ketchup?
I do like it a lot, yes.
Oh, okay.
But it has a lot of sugar, but you have also without the sugar, then it's not so nice.
No, only tomatoes.
Well, I think so, yeah. So, no, not all, but Warren Buffett, 91 years old.
Congratulations, Warren.
Again.
I know you're watching, so congratulations again.
What's next?
Yeah, what's next?
We have tomorrow, like we said, it's Thursday, so we have the job figures in the US. Monday, US
it's
market.
important, because
yeah.
ADP already reported some interesting figures, so it's a really important figure tomorrow.
Monday, Labor Day.
Yeah.
So markets closed. Also important to know if you see the prices in your portfolio.
Am I off?
No. Oh. We have still some company figures for Q2. GameStop, Wednesday.
Oh. Yeah.
And Thursday, the ECB meeting in Frankfurt. So
interesting.
Also interesting.
A lot of information. Thank you very much, Darko.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. Give us your thumb, and hope to see you next week.